Does size really matter? Absolutely. When it comes to your raw food, size definitely makes a difference. Hello and welcome to another episode with the Toronto Dog Whisperer. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at different sizes for your dog's raw food. If this is the first time you've seen any of my content and you're enjoying this video, thank you so much for joining. I really do appreciate it. If you do like this video, think about hitting that like button, think about sharing it with others, and if you're really keen, think about hitting that subscribe button. It does help quite a lot. I love making this content for you guys. So what we have here today are 3 different ways that your dog can eat the exact same portion. Each of these is a quarter chicken with the thigh bone and the drumstick along with the backbone included. The only difference between them is how they are prepared and how your dog is going to eat them. And I'm going to go over each and every single one of these, the advantages, the drawbacks, so that you can make the best decision for you and your dog. Some of these will have different advantages for your dog, and then some of these will have advantages for you, the person that's preparing these. Now, if you're going to go get commercially available raw food, pretty much your only choice is going to be this ground up version. Although this is not ground chicken, it is chicken that I have minced. I didn't use a grinder, I used a blender to make this particular consistency. And you can see here just how small it is. Now your dog is going to be able to eat this very easily. That's one of the advantages. We have minced, which is a consistency very close to a commercially available raw food. We have these bigger chunks here. And then finally, we have the largest chunks. Now, if you're wondering, does this reflect the size of my dog? Well, in part, yes, but in part, no, not really, because even a small dog can get through larger chunks. It just takes them a lot longer. And that's advantage number 1, is exactly how long it takes for your dog to consume the same amount of raw food. If it's in a mince form like this, it will take them no time. They can just literally almost inhale it. They can gobble it up and it'll be gone in no time. The mid-range size is going to take them a lot longer to eat than this size. If you have a larger dog, they'll still be able to get through this relatively quickly, but it'll take them longer to eat these versus the minced up version. Now, why is that important? Do you want your dog to eat quickly or to eat slowly? Well, slower is much better. They get to enjoy their food quite a lot more if they're chewing through it. The sensation and the actual chewing of chunks of raw meat is very satisfying to a dog, and it provides a psychological benefit for them because they're actually chewing through their food instead of just swallowing it in whole pieces. Anybody who's fed their dog kibble knows like just how quickly a dog actually goes through it. They actually chew very little of the kibble because it's so small. So size does make a difference. In my opinion, the slower the dog eats, the better, because they can savor it. They can actually enjoy these amazing ingredients. They're not going to rush through. So their stomach gets a chance to actually tell their brain, hey, I'm getting full, versus if they eat really quickly, that communication doesn't happen. Over here, we have the largest chunks. Now you can see here, I took a chicken quarter and I just chopped it into 3 large pieces, a drumstick and 2 pieces for the quarter, but you can even leave it whole. The largest pieces are going to take the longest amount of time for your dog to eat, which is really, really good. It also has the biggest pieces of bone and meat, so it's going to take them longer to chew it. Actually chewing through or breaking up the bone by chewing on it is what actually cleans their teeth. So you don't have to get dental bones and all the other kind of artificial stuff for your dog in order to have their teeth clean naturally through the process of eating. Yes, dental care is still important regardless of what size you choose, but the bigger the pieces, the more they actually have to chew through the bone and the meat, and that is what cleans their teeth. So not only is it incredibly satisfying for your dog, it takes them a lot longer to eat their food, which is very beneficial for them. It provides a psychological benefit. All that kind of great stuff comes in the larger pieces. And I hear what you're saying, but Joe, doesn't that mean everybody should be giving their dog huge pieces of raw? Not really, because there are some drawbacks to the bigger sizes. So we covered the advantages. Now we're going to go over the drawbacks. The biggest drawback when it comes to these larger pieces is the mess that it creates. So if you live in a condo or in a space where you don't have access to a backyard and your dog eats inside, they're going to take these out of their dish to eat them. They're not going to eat it in their dish. You'll find that a lot of dogs will take these, take them out, maybe even lie down with them in order to eat them because it takes a whole lot longer. They also have to hold it somehow, like with their paws or whatever. So these are going to be a lot messier than these two options simply because of their size. And that's a big drawback. Now, the last option that we're going to take a look at is the sweet spot. It is the middle ground. It is a very nice compromise between having large chunks of bone and meat for your dog to actually chew through, but they're going to eat this primarily in their bowl because the chunks are sizable, but they're not too big that they can't eat each individual chunk by taking it out and holding it. So this is a nice sweet spot. This is going to be the easiest for your dog to eat. This is going to present much more benefit to your dog in terms of the size and how long it takes. Overall, each of them have their own benefits and drawbacks. Now, let's talk about the human side of this. So when you're choosing the size of the chunks that you're going to feed your dog raw in, some of that actually comes to you as well, because believe it or not, that is an important factor that I always encourage people to consider. So it's not just like this is the best for your dog, so therefore this is what you're going to go with. I balance things out and say, okay, like how's this going to affect the people in this dog's family? Well, this option here, although it's the easiest to package, it's the easiest for your dog to eat, it's also going to take the most amount of prep because you have to take all your individual portions, put them in the blender or a grinder or whatever, grind them up yourself, versus these, which don't take as much time to process because there's less chopping up to do. This took me pretty much no time. This takes a little bit more time, but it's a lot quicker than mincing it. Now, here's one really important thing. If you're buying your raw food commercially, pretty much this is your only option. The reasons for that are wide, but basically a commercial operation isn't going to be able to chop up their meats and their organs and all the rest of it like this because this is very labor intensive. This type of thing can be done by a machine. These have to be done by hand. So if you're looking at these three options and saying, oh, I'd like one of these other options, you're going to have to either consider finding a commercially available raw food provider that will sell you these bigger chunks, which is going to be a lot more expensive, or do it the way that I do it, which is to prepare your own raw food at home. When you're making your own raw food at home, you have this type of flexibility to choose. Do I want a smaller size, a medium size, or a large size? Or do I want a combination of these? And what you'll see here with this medium size is that some of the chunks are bigger and some of them are smaller. They're of different sizes. So it's really up to you to say, hey, I like this mix. This has bigger chunks, this has smaller chunks, but they're appropriate for the size of your dog, their mouths, and the amount of crunching power that they have. A bigger dog is going to be able to get through these bigger chunks no problem. Even a medium-sized dog will chew through these without any issue. It might take them a little bit longer, but they can still get through it no problem. With puppies or very, very, very small dogs, you're going to want smaller chunks or this minced product that's nice and soft, and basically all the chewing has been done through the processing. Okay? Oops. In terms of time, this is the most time intensive if you're making it at home. This is second, and this is the third, the least amount of time that you're going to have to spend. If you have a very, very old dog with bad teeth, the minced option is probably going to be the best. Although I would say even for a small dog, chopping it up into smaller pieces over the mince is much better. These really, really large chunks, if you have access to a backyard, a garage, a basement, or any outdoor space that you can feed your dog conveniently, that way you don't care about the mess, you don't care if they take it out and they take their time, this is a fantastic option. Now, if you're going with these two options here are the easiest to weigh out and package simply because you have smaller chunks to work with and you can adjust the weight very easily. With these, it's a little bit more difficult because you have these massive chunks. The thing to remember about raw diets is you don't have to be overly precise. If your dog gets a pound a day and that's what they're supposed to get, one day they get a little bit more than a pound, the next day they get a little bit less than a pound, it's not going to make a difference, so it's fine. But in terms of like packaging your own raw, portioning it all out, this is a little bit more difficult because of the big chunks, whereas these are much, much easier. And this is why the commercially available is always done with ground. It's not in these two forms here. If you're buying a commercially available raw food, this is going to be probably your only choice, although I'm sure there are raw food providers out there that do sell bigger chunks. You'll probably have to pay more for it, but I'm sure it's out there. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult to find this size of chunk commercially, but this is all fine. Like all these different types of presentation in terms of how your dogs eat, all these are going to work extremely well in terms of the nutrition. The nutrition is the same. The only big difference is how long it takes your dog to eat, how long it takes you to prep, and how much psychological benefit that your dog gets from their everyday meal. Personally, I put a lot of emphasis on the psychological benefit of my dog. I want them to be happy. I want them to be satisfied. I want them to really enjoy their meal, not just scarf it down super, super quick. And the bigger chunks allow for that psychological benefit while cutting down the time that it takes you to actually prep it if you're doing it yourself, which I highly recommend for people out there who are fans of raw and have already bought commercially available raw. The next logical step in terms of taking it to the next level is trying it at home for yourself and making it yourself. It's very simple, it's very straightforward, it's actually a lot more affordable because you can source the ingredients yourself. Before we get to the rest of the video, I just want to announce a new service I'm providing. So if you are one of those people that are having difficulties or have a lot of questions that you want to go through, I'm providing Zoom meetings for anybody who's interested, and I'll take you through whatever questions that you have. I can take you through how to set up your own DIY raw. I can tell you how to go shopping for it, what equipment that you need, answer any of your nutritional questions, answer any questions when it comes to the different sizes. If you're interested in that service, simply make a comment and I'd be more than happy to set up a Zoom call with you and take you through all the details that you want. If you're not sure, what I recommend is trying the different sizes out. Take some of your portions and say, okay, I'm going to try a little bit of mince, I'm going to try some smaller chunks, I'm going to try some bigger chunks, and see the difference for yourself. The best way to make your decision is to focus on what's best for your dog. Make the right choice for your family situation, for your home life. If you don't have the time to prepare these bigger chunks, then go with the mince that's commercially available. If you do have the time, but you are worried that your dog is going to make a mess, the middle option is the real sweet spot. This is the option that I go with personally. So which option do you think is best for you? Small, medium, or large? I know which I cut. That sounded dirty. Make a comment below, let me know, and it's going to help. The community of my channel is amazing at helping each other out by asking questions, answering questions, and sharing knowledge between us. Remember, be skeptical. The only person that is going to know what is the best choice for you and your dog is you. So give it a try, see what works best for you. Till next time, if you love your dog, take them for a walk. Take care. Bye-bye.